So today we are very glad to welcome one of the all-time Canal Bank Shuffle favorites and Blues in the Battlefield favorites and longtime friend, David Rotundo. So David, welcome.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. How about yourself, Bob?
I am great. No complaints at all. We met about 2003 the first time you came with Jack de Kaiser.
Yes. I guess I was just blowing harmonica for him at the time.
Yeah, you were back again, I think the next year by yourself, but the first time was with him.
Okay,
So
that's right.
now I see you've got a 20th anniversary of their first album, which was right after that, right?
25th anniversary. Yeah, it was actually before that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I released it in 2001,
Right, right.
but I was still doing a handful of gigs with Jack here and there, because I was just sort of getting my feet wet on my own with my own unit and stuff. So
Sounds like you got some backup singers.
you hear that? We're in
Yeah,
a wild neighborhood.
yeah. That's all right. So tell me about this neighborhood. How did you end up down there?
Well, believe it or not, I mean, you mentioned Jack de Kaiser, and Jack de Kaiser was very instrumental in this because he was being petitioned for years from a fan who asked him to always come down to Mexico, and Jack declined for many years, and then I guess I started playing with Jack, and this fellow asked Jack to come again, and he said, if you want, you could come with that harmonica player that's playing with you. And Jack gave me a call and he said, "Hey, this guy's been asking me for years to go to Mexico and do something, and he saw you playing, and he said, he's inviting us both. What do you say?" And I know he expected me to say, "No way, there's no way." And I said, "Absolutely, Jack, let's go." And he
Oh,
was like, "Wait," he said, what do you mean? You don't even know where we're going?" I said, "I don't even care where we're going." Like, he said, "Yeah, but do you know where Puerto Escondido is?" I said, "No, I don't, but it sounds good to go." And he was like, "Okay, but you don't even know who the guy is. Do you know who Billy Evans is?" I said, "I don't need to know. He wants to invite us. Let's go." And he was like, "Okay, let's do it." So that's why we did it. And that was in year 2000. And
right.
that brought me here for the first time. And I came every year since for a week for the first 10 years. I would just come for a week and play here because that's what we did. We came to play for the week. And it kind of, it grew on me big time.
So exactly where are you?
I'm in a place called Puerto Escondido, which is hidden port,
Ah,
hidden port in English. It used to be a small fishing village.
so you're there most of the time now?
Yes, I've been here a lot in the last 2, 3 years. I mean, I used to just come for, starting about 10 years ago, I'd come for a month, then 2 months, then 3 months. Then it would be like I'd be here for half a year. And it serves me well. It's very old school, and I love old school stuff. I love shacks. I love shovels, wheelbarrows.
Oh, well, I guess that's good. But you are coming back to Canada this summer.
Yes.
And how many dates do you have?
I have a bunch of dates in May and June, some in July, and then also some festival dates in September.
So are you going to go back and forth? Are you going to stay around for a while?
I'm not sure. I might stick around. Yeah, because I have a lot of emotion. I mean, first I'm going to Europe. I'm going to Europe in about 3 weeks. I'm playing there for 3 weeks, and then Canada.
Where in Europe?
Well, not Europe proper, but like Estonia, Finland, Latvia.
Everyone seems to be getting a little bit of action over there. What's it like over there for you guys?
It's great. I mean, I've now over a 10-year relationship with Estonia and Finland and places. I mean, I've been a lot to places like Italy and Austria, Switzerland, and those places. But the last 10 years have been more like Estonia. Estonia is a very unique country. It got its independence from Russia through this band that I've become good friends with. They were kind of a revolutionary band called Ultima Thule, and we became good friends. So I do a lot of shows there, a lot of concerts there. Last 10 years.
So you've got a band over there and in Canada. Who's going to
Yeah,
be the band?
my the old East Street band, I'll call them from the Springsteen days. Shane Scott on bass.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, Desmond Brown on guitar, Dan Dufour on guitar, Chuck Keeping on drums, James Rasmussen on piano.
Yeah, I haven't seen Shane for quite a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about this Caravan Blues tour.
Oh, Caravan Blues Tour. It's a concept that a friend and I came up with about a year ago, and it's a way to do shows and collaborate with other artists, like other musicians from other countries. We'll have a common band, and then the musicians and artists from other countries will come in and front the band. So it's not a by any means, I don't think, a new blueprint, but it's very artistic in that way, and seems to be very well received because it offers more than just one sound.
And that's in where you are now?
Yes, we started it, we planted it here, and it's getting a lot of attention. So it's probably going to go to Europe and Canada and other places soon enough as well, just because it seems to have a good template in motion.
Right. And what's it like there musically most of the time?
Like in this small town where I live, in this small village,
Right.
Puerto, it's grown a lot. They have a lot of eclectic and displaced artists from all over the world seem to come here because, like I said earlier, it's very old schoolish, and I would consider ourselves young old school people. I grew up in the bars. I grew up loving music that was played in a tight space where people were sweating on each other, and it didn't matter if it was the Rolling Stones or Buddy Guy you know uh, or some local blues act. But I loved those venues that had a feel to it, had a vibe to it, and that's what is offered here a lot. It's very old school in that way, and I'm sure that's what pulled me in and what I enjoyed about it.
Interesting you say that because I think one of the greatest shows I ever saw, period, and I've seen thousands, was you with Enrico Crivellaro and Alberto Colombo in Mont Tremblant in the bar. That
Oh,
was, that was one of the greatest nights ever.
oh my goodness, Bob! You're giving me goosebumps because yeah, like so. Do you remember what the name of that bar was? I mean, because I know I
No,
played many bars in Mont Tremblant. I think
right?
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, it was almost like a restaurant. Was it almost
Yeah,
like a restaurant?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Brian Slack was there. He might remember.
yeah. I know. Yeah, I know. I can see the bar in my mind.
Yeah, that was a fabulous show. I mean, you guys were on fire,
Yeah,
and I think you were
yeah.
literally on top of the bar and the tables.
I know we were. Yeah, we didn't hold back. I know, and it was beautiful. Well, again, those types of venues, especially in Tremblant, in Quebec, in general. We used to have it a lot in Ontario. I'm not sure what happened. I don't want to say crap on Ontario or things like that, or the Toronto scene. But those bars from the 80s and 90s that I remember going to were extremely special because there was a tightness to it. There was a big energy that was contained, and it was always oversold out or overpacked. I mean, I'm sure it was always a fire hazard.
Hmm,
I'm sure there was always something you complain about.
right,
Too many people in the bar, but that shouldn't take precedence over the overall feel of art.
right. I think there's a little bit of a downswing right now, although we see some of the older ones actually coming back. So who knows? Uh, hopefully,
Yes,
there's certainly a lot of young players out there. It's not like they're not there.
right. Yeah.
And speaking of that, you're doing some blues in schools, or
Yes, yeah. Like I wouldn't say it blues in schools. I mean that was a concept. I mean, I'm not even sure who started with it, Billy Branch or something like that. I'm doing dreams in schools. We're doing that. It's I've been going into schools for a long time. It's just something I like to do when I'm on the road and when I'm in a new town. I really love to connect with the kids, and that's my way of giving back. And to be quite honest and transparent about it, it gives me a lot. It gives me a lot to go do that for the kids. You know, they are very receptive. I feel a great energy from them. And what I do is I go in there and I just talk about what it takes to pursue your dream. You know, because I'm a big fan of dreams. I'm a big fan of people using their imagination and creativity and tapping into their passions and uh, spirited emotions. So I go in and I talk to the kids about that and what is involved in it. It's not just sort of a airy fairy thing about dream and sit in a hammock. You got to be disciplined. Hard work, responsibility, and show up and have faith and courage and take a lot of darts and a lot of arrows in the back, and people are going to try to put your fire out, but don't listen to them and just keep going. So it's just a way for me to connect with them and also to remind myself what I need to do.
Yeah. It's probably not that easy to keep that up too while you're working. Because I know Joe Bonamassa used to have it in his rider that the venues had to have a Blues in Schools day at least. And I'm sure that he would not be able to do that today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. The first time I met him, that's what he was doing. He had Blues in Schools and it was in St. Catharines
Really?
just before he hit the big time. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Where's Joe Bonamassa from?
He's from New York, Syracuse, Rochester, somewhere in there.
Oh, really? And he was doing that in St. Catharines?
He did it. It was in his rider that wherever he went, they had to have a little schools or Blues and Schools program of some sort.
Oh,
And
really?
and what they did there was they bussed the kids into Brock, and then he came out in the afternoon, jeans and t-shirt, and just talked to them and let them try his guitars, and then the
That's
band came out.
fantastic. That's
Yeah.
great. I applaud him for that. I applaud. I'm happy that you mentioned that. I mean, all I could say is, believe it or not, I didn't steal the idea from him. I didn't know that at all. But
No,
I
I
mean,
wasn't trying to imply that either.
yeah, no, I know that, I know. But it is good to hear that he was doing that. I just think it's fantastic when musicians, artists, whoever does that. Uh, if I could bring us back to our days in like grade school, I remember when that person would show up with like a yo-yo or something like that, and we would all go down to the gymnasium, and it was like whatever that day was called, trip day or field trip day or special guest day or something. Somebody would come in and do some stuff, and it was like the highlight of my year. So I thought, why don't we have this more in schools? It's such a great day.
Yeah, well, that experience for you probably helps because I'm certain that you're getting some of your kids feeling the same way.
Yeah, they really make me feel great. Like I said, it's almost I almost feel selfish doing it. It's like they give me so much. They're so gracious and so loving with their response. A lot of them confide, and say, like I like music too, but I don't know how to play. And I said, I'm sure you can play. Well, I don't know how to play. I said, well, can you dance? So it's really, really wonderful exchange.
Yeah, and I see you've got a bunch of motivational quotes at the bottom of your website. Is that something you consciously take time to explore?
Yes, I, I got hooked on quotes. My brother, I don't know how he did this, but I remember him buying me a book of quotes when I was like 18 years old. And I don't know if he was reading into my psyche, but then quotes just became such a huge part of my life that without even being conscious or by design, I just started. I was a very avid reader my whole life, and I would just anytime I read something that I really liked, I'd write it down and make myself memorize it.
Yeah, well, I suppose, and nice to have the time to explore some of that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
And speaking of time, you've got, you had what, seven harmonica player nominations and a Win Blues, Maple Blues Awards, Electric Act of the Year, um, New Artist of the Year. So all those awards must be hard to get while you're in Mexico.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Um, well, yeah, at the moment, and I think it's quite evident. I mean, I did stand back. Maybe it came across as a hiatus or or something that I stepped aside for a while, to reinvent and to regain balance and stuff. So I know I pulled back on the scene quite a bit, and especially with the transition from spending more time here. And I was always here at the time. For example, the Maple Blues Awards were on, so it wasn't like, despite the Maple Blues Awards, I'd be here, so I couldn't go. So I was kind of like off the scene or out of the scene, and that was by no means yeah, out of disrespect or something like that. I just took a different path for a little while to regain strength and go to the well of of essence and yeah, to resurface.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I just assume that, and I'm sure you're not even concerned about awards per se, but uh, yeah, when you're doing that much traveling and sticking away, it's a little different than when you're here all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and again, too, with the awards, they were also, it was such a great feeling in one sense, and in another sense, quite honestly, and it's not because I'm a hell of a guy to say it, but I was always thinking, wow, I don't know, do I really deserve something like this? I mean, I'm so green at it, so young at it. I mean, all the people that I admired and aspired to, the Jack de Kaisers, the Chuck Jacksons, this list could go on and on. Um, just in Canada alone, not to mention the whole blues, House of Blues and that whole universe of blues artists, that I always felt I was just doing my best to balance myself on the shoulders of giants. I mean, this music was the most powerful stuff I've ever heard, and it happened 60, 70 years ago. So I was always just trying to tap into that source. And yeah, I never really uh, I never really sat back and said, well, I can't, it'd be great to win an award. It'd be great to be
Right.
recognized for this or recognized for that. I was always my sort of own, critic and judge. And I'd just be constantly going back and thinking, man, I don't sound as good as those guys yet. That's all I know, the Sonny Boy Williamsons and the Little Walters and stuff like that. So I'd always reproach myself and go back into that cave and work out.
And would those be two of your earlier influences?
Sonny Boy and Little Walter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it just that happened naturally that I said those names. It's so crazy. I didn't even have to think about it, but for sure, if I thought about it for hours,
Yeah.
they would probably be the two names
Right.
because Sonny Boy. Hey, is this? Can they hear this? Can I humor you guys and play 2 seconds of harmonica?
Should be able to. Yeah.
So I mean, like Sonny Boy, to me, if anybody asked me, and many people would ask me, "Hey, give me a harmonica lesson." Did you give the harmonica lessons? I said, if you want the best harmonica lesson in your life, buy Sonny Boy Williamson records and just do whatever he's doing. Try to do whatever he's saying the exact same way, and then you will know how to play this instrument. Because Sonny Boy Williamson, to me, is a genius of simplicity and a genius of poetic license. I mean, he's just so expressive. And I'll do 2 seconds of Sonny Boy. But when I first bought Sonny Boy and I heard him do "Don't Start Me Talking," and it was I was just like, you got to be kidding me, man. What the heck is that? It was such a big sound to me. And I was like, man, it sounded so easy, yet it sounded so distant. And then, further along, you'd hear others, his phrasing, and just like, you just go, man, it's so deep. So he was the first guy to me. And then after I woodshed to him a lot, the other guy I mentioned was Little Walter. And Little Walter was, I know he could do that as well because but he was already playing electrified harmonica. And to me, he was the first Jimi Hendrix for sure. Little Walter, absolutely, hands down. And I have a good story about that actually that I got hip to, and I was right about that because he was the first Jimi Hendrix because he was at that time he was using 4 amplifiers. I mean, it was unheard of. Like, rock and roll guys weren't even doing this, but Little Walter wanted 4 amplifiers at the front of his stage, just pounding the audience. And people were like, this guy is nuts or what? I mean, so this was long before Jimi Hendrix, and he was playing with reverb and feedback on the harmonica, on top of what he was already doing behind all of those great tools to have. I mean, because if you have those tools and you don't know how to play, they're not going to serve you anyway. It's like kind of like Pink Floyd said. I mean, yeah, we use technology and we use machines, but we're using it. It's not using us. I mean, we're creating Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon isn't creating us. So Little Walter, though, introduced me into this sort of like it was just so like horn stuff. It was just like so swinging, and it was different from Sonny Boy. And so those two guys I gravitated towards a lot.
And I
Sorry to
see.
bore you. Sorry to bore you with
No, no,
all
that's
stuff
exactly
there.
what people are. No, that's what people are looking for. They want to hear, how you got there. And I know I've heard a lot of artists say that, you start digging as, who do you like, and then who did he like, and then who did they like, and you end up digging back and finding all these great guys that maybe people don't know.
Yeah.
So certainly they're going to look for that kind of stuff, and they're going to hear from people like you.
And you see
Um,
what happens when I start playing. You hear the people in the back. They just say, "Shut up!"
no, those
Either
are,
that, or they're saying, "Play some more."
yeah. Well, Dodge, what do they know?
Yeah.
I see you got a Lee Oscar harp there too. Now
Yes.
you've got a connection there too.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not shy about it. Actually, I'm very grateful and proud about it. I mean, Lee Oscar. I was using his harmonicas before I even met Lee Oscar and before I even knew Lee Oscar. And I was just thinking Lee Oscar is some guy that maybe like Honer that produces harmonicas, that manufactures harmonicas. And then I realized, oh, he was a harmonica player. Oh, he was in the band War. Oh, he started the band War with Eric Burden. Oh, I mean, he played the last show with Jimi Hendrix on stage before Jimi Hendrix died. I mean, like Lee Oscar is a massive, massive individual, artist, inventor, blues harmonica player. He plays such a unique style. So I was using his harmonica, and then I was fortunate enough to meet him one night in Toronto, actually at the Reservoir Lounge, a night I'll never forget. When I met him there that night, and we talked quite extensively that night, and we exchanged numbers, and then we became good friends ever since. And he produced my last record, "So Much Trouble." Actually, I did that recording in Seattle with a bunch of his musicians out there.
And when was that?
That was right before the pandemic. Literally, I mean, 2019 and 2020. I was wrapping it up in 2020. I left his house in Seattle to visit my mother in Toronto, and then I started hearing about this COVID thing, and came back to Toronto to finish the artwork, and then everything just went on, as we all know, just went on stop, on hold, on pause, whatever would take a week to do, which I was like trying to wrap up the artwork and find everything was taking 3 months. I mean, it was so painstaking that it took me about another 9 months to finish the artwork of the record, and we released it in like October or something, or November of 2020. And yeah, and then I was even struggling with the fact of releasing an album during such an incredible global event that was happening. I thought, is this even right to release a record during this time? I mean,
Yeah, it's tough
so
when you couldn't tour to support it or get it out there.
that's right. There was yeah. There was so many offshoots of that, right, Bob? I mean, like there's so like the list went on and on. First of all, it's taking forever to do anything. Second of all, we can't even play even if it's released. Third of all, we're releasing this while people are struggling and fighting. Like I mean, to me, the whole thing almost sounded um, it sounded like I don't know if it was wrong, but to actually to Lee's better judgment, he said this is the best time to just release it. I mean this is we the world needs music,
Right.
and I guess fittingly, I mean so I did a lot of interviews at that time, and because my album was called So Much Trouble, and because it is such a dark album, I know what I mean. It's a bit of a deviation from my former stuff, but it was stuff that I had to say that had to come out, and a lot of people were kind of saying, "Hey, man, did you know that this was going to happen?" And I said, "No, not at all, man. I mean, but
Right.
we are in times of a lot of trouble, and we better take heed. This is important. It's important to me. To think about it and to give it its due energy. The food we're eating, the way we're living, the technology that we're dealing with, the our ethics, our values. So it was stuff that I felt needed to be looked at.
So where would you prefer people get your albums? I know there's so many avenues and some of them are not great.
Wow, I know. I mean, yeah, these days, I wish it was a joke. It's hard to give them away, because people either don't have CD players or you know you can get them so readily on in these technological devices. I'm not sure how to answer that question at the moment.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we need a new paradigm, that I will say. We know
Well,
because
I'll just mention that Matt Schofield just released a new one last week, and he's doing it completely off his website. No Spotify, no Amazon. So you go right there and download it, and you pay. I think he's charging like $10, but all 10
that's
goes to him.
that's great. I've played a lot with Matt, right? Did you
I
know that?
I did not know that.
Oh,
Doesn't surprise me.
I played with him. I have because I didn't see him for like 10 years. I mean, he's joined me on stage and many of my shows. He's great player, obviously great player. And I just saw him in the Estonian festival, and we hung out together and played together. And yeah, so that's good to hear that he's doing something like this because yeah, we have to be smart about our approach.
It doesn't surprise me that you hang out with him because you both have the same sensibilities, I think. You sound like you have a lot of the same values, and you're both pretty easygoing.
Oh, don't say that too soon.
Wow.
Yeah,
Why, you got
yeah,
something coming up?
yeah. Yeah, no. I'm not that easy going. I'm only, maybe I'm only kidding.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think the last time we had you was Blues in the Battlefield, and that was I think 2020 or 19, probably 19. So yeah,
Was
yeah,
it 2019 or was it? Yeah, it might have been 2019 or 2018.
what could have been. I know it was just before. I could look it up, but
It's
it doesn't.
okay. Yeah. Did Matt
That,
Schofield ever play with you guys?
he did the shuffle a couple times.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and Christine was with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was fun.
Great. How are
Now
you doing? How are you doing, by the way? Man, we
I'm
haven't seen each other for so long.
that would have been the last time. Oh, I'm doing good. I'm probably not going to be involved this year with the Blues in the Battlefield. They asked me to come back, but they're going in a little bit different direction. So time for me to step back. And so I'm doing these podcasts for Pat Porter over at 468EQ. And I'm writing for bluesrockreview.com, which is out of Kansas, actually. I'm the only Canadian writer. So
Oh, really?
if you got a album, get it over there because they do a great job. They cover a lot of Canadian stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great, Bob. I'm so happy to hear this because, yeah, I've always enjoyed our exchanges and stuff like that. And I'm happy to hear that you're still strongly behind it, supporting it, and doing what you're doing.
No, well, thank you. It's not hard, especially with people like you. Uh,
Um,
no, no, you know what? You listen to you talk here. It's apparent that you are the same guy on stage. You put on a great show. Showmanship is a huge part of it, but the genuine, you know, uh, expression of who you are comes through. People love that, and it's unmistakable, and
uh,
that's huge. Plus, you've always had a good memory. You always talk. You always talk to everybody and say hi, and I can't believe the people you
oh,
remember.
well, I mean, I do. I usually don't remember the names, but I remember faces for sure. And I really am grateful for the people that come out. I mean, it definitely that's just the how the ground that the house is built on. Number one, and number two. I mean, when you say about say the genuineness or the sincerity of things, I mean, it all stems from the music. Again, it's to me, I went through rock and I love rock. I love classic rock. But when I was introduced and I discovered the blues, to me, it was the most unpretentious, sincere music I've ever heard in my life. I mean, and I love Beethoven and Tchaikovsky as well. But to me, still, if we talk about sincerity and unpretentiousness and like real, just basic feeling, old blues to me is top of the list for that.
Yeah, and I've always kind of, well, not argued, but said that to me, rock and roll was a kind of an external expression, excitement, surface joy, and kind of titillation, while blues is far more introspective, and everyone has those emotions, so they're looking to that. So you can certainly tap into it at
Yeah,
at a different point in their life or a different mood.
sure. And not to be dismissive of like, because I definitely going through the blues and then trying to do this last album was a bit of a more of a production, and I really value the artistic qualities of those great classic rock bands, whether it's Pink Floyd or Zeppelin or the Doors. I mean, these guys were geniuses, almost at marrying a sense of sincerity with vision and with looking into the future, with being sort of you know clairvoyant in that way. So they had a lot of things going at work. I don't think it's to be dismissive of that, but to me, the heart, and the soul was always based in that blues, um, in that blues well, that well of heart and soul. And if I can, for the listeners and to remind myself, uh, I was on the road with Ronnie Hawkins. I was fortunate enough to get a gig to go on the road with Ronnie Hawkins. I didn't really know who he was. My bad. I mean, I didn't know that he grew up with Elvis Presley. Carl Perkins, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis. I mean, he was friends with those guys, and Ronnie Hawkins was huge. He was a huge force back then, almost kind of an unsung hero compared to the Carl Perkins and Johnny Cashes and stuff like that. But Ronnie was as big as it gets. And of course, he's got a huge history in the music. He started the band. He gave the band to Bob Dylan, blah blah blah. Levon Helm, Robbie Robertson. He did so much. And being on the road with him for many days, we'd be driving, and he had more stories than the Old Testament. I mean, this guy was just story after story. I mean, I was thinking somebody got to document this, because these stories are just going into thin air. I mean, he's unbelievable. Like John Lennon and Yoko Ono staying at his house to hide from the public, that type of stuff. So someone had the perspicuity to ask at one point. I said, "Man, Ronnie, I mean, like, Jesus, like you've been talking for like 5 days. You have more stories than the Old Testament. You've been around music for so long. You've done everything, been with everybody. You were at the last waltz. He's been around forever, been with everybody, seen a lot of the music world." And someone asked him, out of all of this, does anything stand out, Ronnie, in the music world at this point? And he didn't miss a beat. And he said, absolutely. He said, sitting in front of Howlin' Wolf in those juke joints back then in the 50s, He said these guys were playing with such veracity. He said, first of all, I thought Howlin' Wolf was going to break the voice with, break the mic with his voice because he was singing like it was the last day on his earth. And he said, I never felt so scared in my life to be sitting there, but I couldn't leave because it was the most powerful music I've ever heard and will probably ever hear in my life. And he said, that stands out more than anything. So he said, listening to that early black blues was it.
And what about you? What would you say?
Then he heard me.
No, no, no. What would be your standout moment?
Oh, oh, what would be mine? Oh, for sure. That as well. I mean, because I can testify to that because that's how I started in this world. I mean, I was listening to classic rock, then I got hooked on blues, and I went to all the blues bars around Toronto. I even did some expeditions, but it was one particular night where I saw James Cotton play at the El Macombo in Toronto, and that night that changed my life because I had to buy a harmonica the next day. I mean, I had heard a harmonica a lot. But I wasn't singing and I wasn't playing an instrument. I just was a fan of listening to blues music. But that night, in particular, the way it was either the way he was playing or what it is, I just basically I turned to this beautiful girl that was beside me that I didn't know and she didn't know me, and I just said, "This guy's talking to me." She must have thought I was a nut, but I really felt like he was really striking a chord. And I said, I got to buy harmonica tomorrow. I have no idea what this is what it's going to take to learn it, but I said I want to play that thing, and
Oh,
that's how my journey started.
well, I think you've got enough stories in you that you could have a book forthcoming, and certainly combined with your philosophical leanings, you could. I certainly think you could have a very interesting take on a book. What do you
Uh,
think of that?
thank, thank you. I've been toying around with the idea. I love it. I
Well,
mean,
stop.
yeah, I love literature. I love books, and I love stories for sure.
There you go. So stop fooling around and get her done.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll give you 6 months.
Okay, that's wow. What am I going to do with the other five? I'm only kidding. That's great. Am I going to see you when I'm in Toronto? Are we going to see
Oh,
each other?
well, I don't know. You're doing the South Side, right?
I'm doing the South Side Shuffle in September, but I'm doing I think it's called the Beggars Banquet at Port Credit in June. Maybe you want to
Okay.
come to that.
Yeah, that could be. Sure.
Absolutely, come out to that. I'm gonna have all the old guys: Pete Schmidt on guitar, Shane Scott on bass,
Wow.
James, Chuck Keeping, who played with Big Wreck for a while on drums, and Chuck Jackson's going to be there. A lot of you might know Mako Funisaka. He might threaten to be there and videotape the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's interesting because all those guys you mentioned were at the very first shuffle, so including you.
Oh, great! We gotta all get together that night then,
All right. Something to look forward to. All
for
right.
sure.
So I will let you go and just say thank you so much for doing this and all the best. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you in Toronto.
And I want to say thank you for giving me the time. And yeah, I'm happy to see that you're still involved in this. We all need each other
I think so.
for
I
sure.
think so. It's a good community.
Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely. Thank you,
Take,
Bob, so much,
take
and
care.
hope to see you soon.
Me too. It'd be
All
great.
right.
Been too long.
Okay.
All right. Take
Thank you.
care.
You too. Thank you, Bob. Speak soon.